Hello, I'm Farmer Steve, and this is June, our dairy milk cow. We are going to show you Ebert Family Farm. So I hope you guys enjoy our new video. What does a typical day look like for you here on the dairy?
The typical day, I guess, starts with milking cows. We have just two people that milk, Miriam and Cress, and we milk about 20 cows. And then we bottle milk every day. So after the milking is complete, someone will fill jars of milk and pack coolers. 2 to 3 days a week we deliver milk. So there's some delivery involved. There's pigs to feed, animals, we put hay out. I don't know if there's a typical day. It's like a Groundhog Day thing we have going on.
What breed of cattle do you prefer to use?
We milk Jersey cows primarily because in the raw milk industry, people really like high milk with lots of cream in it, and Jerseys produce higher butterfat milk. They're also just a friendlier cow, really easy to get along with. They have super sweet personalities, and they're kind of a hardy cow that's suited well for grazing. And then they actually produce really high quality beef as well. They're a slower growing, so it's not the most economical way to raise beef, but it's a good quality product, especially with grass-fed meat.
How many gallons of milk do they produce a day?
On average, we get just under 3 gallons per cow. Because we're a raw milk dairy, we do it a little bit different than most. We only milk once a day, and we actually put the calves, as you can see, out with their mothers. And then the calves actually keep the cows producing a little by nursing on them in the later part of the day, and that way we only have to milk once a day, which is super nice because probably the biggest challenge to most farmers is finding good help. We can't afford to pay a huge amount, and it's pretty hard work, and so it's really hard to find help. So being able to milk once a day is a pretty big deal.
So what steps are in the milking process?
When we milk a cow, first you have to get the system all set up. There's actually we have what's called a clean in place system. So there's a stainless steel pipeline that connects to a bulk tank that cools the milk. So you get the whole system set up and clean and ready. We bring the cows into a milk pen behind the barn, and then you bring the cows in one at a time. We have a stanchion that they're locked into, and we give them a little treat to give them some energy. And then we wash the cows. So, depending on how muddy it is at the farm, sometimes you have to do a little pre-rinse, and then you get right in there with your hands and really scrub all that mud off. And then we do a pre-dip to disinfect their teats, and then they're dried with paper towels that are thrown away. And then they're hooked up to the milk machine, and it takes probably 10 minutes-ish per cow to complete the milking. And then there's a post-dip that's kind of a product that, again, kills any germs, and it has stuff in it that's soothing to their udder so that they don't get chapped. And then they go back out to pasture. Or in this case, wintertime, no grass growing, back out to eat hay from the hay bunk.
Do you mind discussing the cream separation process?
Sure. So you have to separate cream when the milk is warm. And if the milk is cold, you actually end up making butter instead of separating cream. The cream separator actually has a pile of discs that spin. It's like a centrifuge type system. So the skim milk will go out the bottom and the cream rises to the top out of a different spout. While we're milking, we're hooked up to the milking equipment on the other side of the wall. And so it pumps into this holding tank, and then it pumps from the holding tank through the pipe into this cooling bulk tank. And this actually has a compressor outside that runs it, that cools the milk quite quickly. And then, but it's not on right now since we're separating cream and we need the milk to be warm. So I'm just gonna get the milk going. And then once we get the milk flowing, the skim will start coming out one side and the cream out the other side. And so yes, light, nice and white skim milk and some nice yellow cream on the other side.
What do you feed them while they're getting milked?
Mostly ground alfalfa.
Okay.
A little bit of molasses, and then maybe a little bit of the stuff called inertia or megalac. It's dried palm oil. It's high in calcium, high in fat. And we're trying out something else. We're trying chaff hay, which is just almost fermented or definitely wet alfalfa. And it's supposed to help with digestion and stuff like that. So we're just kind of seeing how it goes. But yeah, just no grain.
Why is that no grain?
Healthier milk, healthier animal, easier. I get longevity out of the animals. Grain just usually will eventually cause a problem, and we're not in the habit of pushing production. You're going to give up some production when you cut grain, but you get the longevity out of the cow, and you get what we think is a healthier product. While you're milking that cow.
Do you raise your own feed, or do you have to go to your neighbors?
You have to have irrigation to put up quality alfalfa in Colorado. So yeah, I have to go to the neighbors. I've made contact with neighbors that I didn't even know I had that and like-minded organic alfalfa, and so it's a little hard to find, but yeah, the neighbors are doing well with it, so that's pretty much where we're going to keep going.
When you speak of longevity of a cow, how long do you have a cow for that you milk?
It always varies, but some of our oldest cows are probably 12 to 15, some of the older ones. I can get that out of them. If she has the right genetics and hangs in there, some of them, you don't get that out of them.
I've heard of a term called milk fever. Have you run into
We do,
milk
yeah.
fever?
It's
Okay.
especially prevalent in Jersey cows, and because we love our sweet cows and we milk them till they're really old, the older they get, the more likely they are to get milk fever. In fact, this is a pretty old cow right here. So yeah, when they calve, they'll be producing so much milk that it pulls all the calcium out of their body, and they will go down and eventually go into a coma. There's a couple of things that we can do when you have an older cow that you expect to have milk fever because they're a high producer. We'll give them an oral supplement that has calcium, magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus in it, and it helps them kind of balance those minerals so that they can pull through okay without having any issues. But you also will have a cow that occasionally will go down really hard, and then you have to give them an IV in their jugular with the same medicine in it. It's fairly amazing. It works really fast, and within 30 minutes of starting an IV, you'll have a cow back on her feet again that looked like she was going to die. So kind of an interesting ailment they get.
We noticed on some of your calves they have all these different numbers. Like for instance, I saw number 1. What does that signify on the number system of your calves? Anything?
Well, yeah, that's going to be a letdown because it's just the next number.
Okay. Nope. Fair enough. Nope.
Pretty soon we get to a number and we got to start over.
Okay.
And then we try to start back at 1.
Okay.
With a different color. And so some of the colors mean some stuff like what year it was born and stuff like that. The numbers don't really mean anything except, that's where it was in the line and kind of, in age. Number 1's probably older than number 2. The names mean more than anything because all the girl cows get named.
Okay.
So then whatever letter their name starts with is what year they were born. So that, I'll have, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, for 12 years or 15 or whatever. And so I can tell when they were born and yeah, you just keep going through the alphabet.
About how many cows do you run?
Well, we're usually milking 20 to 40, somewhere in that range. Okay. And it's going to cycle because we breed twice a year for a certain amount of time. So we do preg checks, and then the vet will tell us within a few days when that calf's coming, and then you dry them off 2 months before that so that she can rest and not milk while she's in the late stages of pregnancy, and then they'll come back online. So they'll bunch up in 2 different spots during the year. And right now we're at a low spot. We're only milking 22 but I just dried off probably, 12 or 13 cows within the last couple weeks. And so, yeah, it'll be downhill for a while, and then, calves will hit and we'll get another 12 to 15 calves, and they'll come back online, and it's just,
And why did you decide to do raw milk?
Yeah, so we actually, this is my husband is a 4th generation farmer, and the land was actually leased out to a neighbor, and we'd been looking at different opportunities to be able to do something in agriculture. And it's just really hard to get started. Land costs so much, equipment, whatever it may be, and every time we would put pencil to paper, nothing worked. Part of it, I was actually doing a conference and I met someone who was milking cows and doing raw milk, and he had a big wait list. And so I went home from the conference and told Cress about this wait list, and we decided to kind of get in touch with the guy and see what could be worked out, and he happened to be ready to sell his business. But we have 800 acres here, and everybody thinks that's so much land, but in agriculture it's actually not very much, especially in eastern Colorado. So we had to find something alternative,
Okay.
so that we could make it work on paper to have a small farm and be able to keep the land going in the family.
And you're moving towards A2, correct?
We are,
Okay.
yes. A big part of the reason why we need to switch to A2 is the demand is there for it, and the animals that you raise are worth a lot more. So there's some research out there that is showing that people that have a true dairy allergy can tolerate A2 milk. And so, yes, people are seeking out this milk because obviously we have lots of people with dairy intolerances and issues digesting milk. So it's an alternative that's definitely caught the consumer eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Julie mentioned delivering the milk to the metro area. What stores are you guys delivering to, or
No stores.
or no stores? Okay.
We do it all at private residences. Everybody's a shareholder that picks up. Yeah, it's pretty simple and pretty low key.
Okay.
Yeah, find our website and contact us.
Thank you for joining us at the Ebert Family Farm on our tour.